What if building data flows and models was as easy as having a conversation? Today I'm going to show you how our embedded AI agents can make your work super efficient. With just a simple chat, I'll create the entire flow and data model, no coding required. Stick around because this is going to change the way you work with data. Let's dive in. So jumping into Kabula here, you can see kind of in the top middle of your screen, you can see we have our new stars up here, which is for our AI assistant. If I click that, you're gonna be able to see like, hey, here is our Kai, our AI assistant. And so in this video, we're going to take data from Shopify and Google Analytics, create a transformation for them and set that up in a flow so they can run on a normal basis. So let's take a look and see how that goes. So I'd like to set up an extractor for Shopify and Google Analytics. Okay, so it's going to set this up for us. We don't have to do any of the manual work here to click through those things. And of course, we have components set up for Shopify and Google Analytics, but this will also work if you're trying to extract data from a source that we don't have. So maybe there's an API you want to hit that we don't have a component built out yet, or so on and so forth. There, it has the ability to build those for you as well, which I think is really great too. So it kind of helps those manual tasks that you usually have to do and make them a lot simpler. So you can see all of these tools that are getting called. So get components, get config examples, find component IDs, so on and so forth here. So it's basically telling us like, hey, like here's what we need to do here. And then it's creating this config, so I can approve that, so that configuration is being created, which we'll go look at in just a second. You can see there's that extractor created there, and it's telling us kind of what you need there, which you create that app with the API scopes. We already have that done, obviously, and it's even asking us to go ahead and put in that API token, which is really great. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that token and toss it in there as well. So save that credential. So perfect there. And then now it's saying, hey, let me create the Google Analytics one. First off, I'm going to let it update that and go ahead and approve our Google Analytics extractor as well. And so you can see that it's receiving that and updating it. So I need to give it permission to update the configuration, to update the Shopify token in there. And now it's creating the Google Analytics extractor configuration. So need to approve that as well. I really like these approve and decline steps. We never want our AI to just go wild and do whatever it wants. So it's making us go through individually, actually build these things out step by step and showing you what it's doing as well, which I think is wonderful. So you can see here that the Shopify extractor is created and the Google Analytics is created as well. So really great stuff here, and it's giving us the configurations and telling us our next steps as well. So updating our shop name for Shopify and then similar things for Google Analytics. So I can go into my Shopify extractor by just clicking that button. It takes us directly into that Shopify extractor. You can see our API token has been inputted. So now we just got to put our shop name in. So let me grab our shop name, which is just Kabula sample data. Perfect. I can save that. And you can see that, on default, it has these endpoints hit. You can come in here and change these if you want to. You can also tell the AI agent, and it will actually, do those for you as well if you have anything different. But I'm just going to leave the defaults for there. And I can actually pop back to components. There's our Google Analytics extractor. I can come into it. You can see I need to authorize my account. So that's with OAuth. So that's why it's a little bit different. A little bit different than the Shopify one that works with an API token. We can actually do OAuth with Google. So I can go ahead and allow that. Perfect. So you can see I'm authorized there by me. And then we can add our profile. So it's loading the profiles that we have inside of Google Analytics. So of course, depending on how much data you have running through Google Analytics, depends on how many profiles you're going to have. We're going to pull this KBC Toy Code sales demo. Can add that in there. And now the last thing we're going to do is add our rows. So this is going to be depending on what you want to pull inside of Google Analytics. So we have our load from template button up here. And so it depends on if you want events, landing page, traffic, or user acquisition. And so we're going to go ahead and grab events engagement here and use this template. We'll OAuth again here to grab this data. And then once you do that, it's going to have everything set up for you. So it just takes a couple clicks there to grab that data. And of course, you can manually do that and add whatever metrics you want. And of course, you could talk to the AI agent if you're super familiar with the data in Google Analytics. I'm unfortunately not. So I just know that we want this event engagement data. It's in there now. So now what we can do is we can run our two components. We can pull this data in for Google Analytics and Shopify. And then what we can do at that point is we can get it to go write a transformation for us to actually pull these things together. So I'm going to run these two things. Once they're finished up, we can look at the data make sure that it actually pulled the data in that we wanted, and then we can actually create our transformation using the AI agent as well. So back to our component page here inside of Kabula, and you can see that all of our runs are now finished and have green check marks, so they all finished successfully. We can even go into our Shopify data here. If I would click Show Data, and you can see here's all of our table names here that are pulled in, so customer addresses, orders, location, so on and so forth there. I want to pull in, maybe go look at the order table. I can click into that, click Data Sample, and it's going to give us a nice little tidbit of what data is inside of that table. So just want to show off, hey, we actually have data, which is great. So now what we want to do is come back to our AI agent and say, hello, I have data from Google Analytics and Shopify, and I would like you to create a SQL transformation that merges them together to give me analytics on my customers. Okay, so just giving it a little bit of like, hey, we need a SQL query that transforms this and brings them to, like, gives us some analytics on the customers. So first off, a good thing is here is that inside of Kabula you can use SQL, you can use Python, you can use R as well. And so you can say SQL, Python, or R, and it will create those transformations for you. I just chose SQL because that's my language of transformations of choice. So you can see what's happening here with our AI chat. So it's looking at the buckets to see what data that we have. So you can see here is our data that it pulled in. Shopify bucket, Google Analytics bucket. It's listing the tables. Now it's getting the tables, and you can see like it's grabbing, looking at these GA tables to understand the structure. Same thing for getting the table, so that's actually looking at the data, and then checking the project info to see which SQL dialect that we're using. So that could be Snowflake or BigQuery, MySQL, something like that, right? And so now that it understands the data structure, it's going to take a quick look at the sample data to better understand how to merge them. So now it's actually querying the data to look and see like what the actual data is, so that it can know what kind of queries it can write. And you can see there's those queries, and of course, it tells you the query name with the CSV data that gets pulled out. There's the actual SQL query that it ran with the query name. And so just so, obviously our AI is going to do things for you, but we want to give you visibility so you know exactly what it's doing at all times, which is really, really important. So so it says, let's see, the transformation will create a unified view combining the Google Analytics data, Shopify customer data, and the Shopify order data. And it says, here's a SQL transformation that it's create. So you can see it's processing that SQL transformation, creating it right now as we speak. And so I can click that, and you can actually see it actually working in real time here. So there's the name, the customer analytics, GA, and Shopify integration with that full description that I'm not going to read for you because that's a lot of words, but it does write out a full description for you as well, which I think is really great, because something that we do as data people sometimes is we create our stuff and we're like, oh man, in 6 months I will definitely remember that. So what I did for that, what customer analytics, GA, and Shopify integration means. And then in 6 months, either I forget, which happens all the time, or maybe, a team member or someone new gets hired to the team and is kind of checking over your work, and they have no idea what you mean by that. So having it write descriptions for you is really, really great as well. It's like give you visibility, let you know exactly what it's doing, and allows you some readability for, months down the road when you're checking this stuff out again. Maybe you want to make an edit to this or something. It knows exactly what it's doing. And then also, the AI knows what it's doing as well. So if you ask it to go look at the SQL transformation, it's actually going to be able to come in and know exactly what's going on there as well, which is great. So giving it some time to write this SQL transformation for us. And what's also great about it is if you're using a tool like ChatGPT or Claude or something like that, it'll create SQL transformations for you. But what's great about this tool is that it's going to create that SQL transformation for us, and it's going to live inside the platform already for us. So that whenever this is done, we're going to be able to create a flow that combines those two extraction steps with our SQL transformation, and actually schedule that thing to run on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, or maybe multiple times a day. So we're going to be able to create all this inside our platform, and it's all going to be able to build inside of our platform, which is great. So we'll wait just a second for this to finish up running. Okay, so you can see that the tool created the SQL transformation for us. It tells us the name, the description. And then comes down here and there's the actual SQL that's actually running there. So I'm not gonna read through that whole SQL because that's a lot. But you can see that it creates this customer analytics summary table, and then I can go ahead and prove that. So that means that it's going to create that for us at this point. So perfect. So that is created and that works. And it's telling us exactly what it has here. For the key features, customer metrics, purchase analytics, and web traffic insights and customer segmentation. Inside this customer analytics summary, it's asking me, do I want to run a transformation, modify the transformation, or create a dashboard? And so what I'm going to do is I would like you to create a flow that has the Google Analytics and Shopify, if I can spell, extractors along with the transformation that you just created. Okay, so I want to put all this together inside of a workflow, and then we can give it all a run and then actually look and see what the finished results are, which is going to be great. So it's going to create a flow that orchestrates your Google Analytics, Shopify, and customer analytics transformation in the proper sequence. So list configs, get the flow schema, because it's basically wanted to check to make sure, hey, like, are you lying to me? Do you actually have these things configured? We obviously do. So it's getting a flow schema, and now it's creating a conditional flow for us to build this thing out so that we can actually run this thing on a normal basis, which is great. So you can see the tool is currently running right now to create. It's created it there. There's all the information about what's created this customer analytics pipeline, GA, and Shopify integration. I can improve that. So this thing will be set up and be ready to run here. And there we go. Perfect. It's created this data pipeline flow for us. Phase 1 data extraction of Google Analytics and Shopify. Phase 2 data transformation. And it says ready to run. You can execute the flow now. So I'm going to go ahead and say, go ahead and run the flow. So this will go ahead and kick it off, and then we'll go look and see what was created as well. So, okay, it's running the job. I'm going to go ahead and approve it to allow to do that, and I'm going to view our flow, which will take us to that page as well. So can open the flow builder. You can see that, hey, it's these two, the extraction phase. If it's successful, run the transformation. If not, go ahead and end the flow. So this is running. So while this is running, we'll take a break and we'll come back whenever this finishes up and we'll look at the finished data that's available for us inside of Kabula. So you can see we have all green check marks throughout all 3 of our tasks here. So that means that this thing is finished running successfully. So now I can come in here and add a schedule. So create a schedule. You can see we have predefined every 15 minutes, every hour, once a day. I'm just going to set this thing up to run once a day. So every day at 12:45 works for me. And you can see the schedule preview here. Can set up the schedule. Now this thing is ready to rock every single day at 12:45 p.m. And you, of course, can just like enable and disable that just with that simple check mark there. So now what I want to do is actually go into our storage and look at the data that we pulled out here. So you can see we have our customer analytics, GA, Shopify integration. So that is the bucket that we used for our transformations. You can click into this. And you can see down here on the bottom of your screen, there's kind of a very quick overview of what we have. And if I can actually click into the data sample, I can click in to see, hey, like here's a nice little snippet of the data. We can look through each column and kind of see what we got going on here. So that's how we create. So as a data engineer, that's how we can use the AI agent to actually come in and actually create an actual workflow for you. But what if we actually want to come in and actually just analyze this data? So we're going to use this. We're going to look at this customer analytics summary. I can go into our AI chat and take a look at this. So I'm going to say, hello, can you give me an overview of the data that is, if I can spell, I still can't spell. Available is a hard word. It's a hard word. Very thankful for spell check today. Can you give me an overview of the data that's available in this table? And go ahead and post that out there. So now it's going to go and look inside, use the same tools we had before and go and look and see what we have going in there. So it's in that, looking at the project, checking through the buckets to see which one has the table. It's found the table. And so now getting that table, and it's going to actually take a look at it and give us an overview of what's going on with the data here. So grabbing a sample. Then after it does that, we'll actually, okay, so there we go. Perfect. So let's get a sample of the data to show you what the actual values look like. So there's the table, has what's going on in there. So perfect. So we can get a nice view of the table. And you can see it's just showing those 5 rows, but you can expand that to be even more if you want it. And then you can do look at the SQL query, and then also just gives you the ability to download a CSV as well, which I think is great. So if you just have, if you have someone that you maybe don't want to come in and edit have the ability to edit your pipelines, but you just want to be able to grab the data, this is a good opportunity for you here. Same thing here. It's giving us some basic statistics. Like we have 449 customers, 13 countries, average total spend of $42, and then 450 total orders. And of course, coming out here, we get a better overview of it. So there's our total records, data size, when it was created, where it is. And it's giving us actual column descriptions here. So customer ID is a unique customer identifier. So on and so forth here. I'm not going to read through all these, but you can see it's giving us actual descriptions for each column, which is really great. And then it's giving us like a geographic distribution. There's 13 different countries. One-time buyer with average spend of $42. All columns are knowable. So on and so forth here. So let's say, we have a column in here that I think is interesting, that this purchase behavior, whether it's one-time or repeat customer. So let's say I want to look at that column and look and see how much we have of each. So using I already forgot the name of the column. Excuse me. Purchase behavior. So using the purchase behavior column, let me know how many of each customer that we have. So this will give us a good idea of whether or not most of our customers are coming in and buying once, or whether they're actually returning and coming back as well. So perfect. So you can see we have 431 of our customers, or 96%, are one-time buyers. Repeat customers 2%, and then we have no purchase customers as well that have a 2% purchase as well. So you can see that the overwhelming majority of our customers are one-time buyers, and only 2% are repeat customers, and 2% haven't made a purchase at all. So most of our customers are one-time buyers. So that means for us at our company, that gives us opportunity to maybe try to reach out to some of these customers to make them repeat customers. But obviously our marketing is doing a decent job of getting these one-time buyers in. We just got to make sure that we do a better job of retaining them. So what you saw in this video was using our AI agent to create this data workflow completely from scratch. So grabbing Shopify data, grabbing Google Analytics data, writing a SQL transformation to build this thing out. And then you can come into then we actually scheduled it and built a flow with it. I forgot about that. So built the flow with it. And then lastly, we came into our chat and just got some basic analytics that we can, you can just ask it questions, looks at the data and gives you answers, which is really great. For a full funnel here, the super technical members of your team can use this to build out workflows. And it opens the door for less technical members to do it as well, because you don't have to use any code. So we have that part of Kabula. But then the second part of this is, hey, like, if they don't want to write any SQL and just want to know basically, like customer accounts here by purchase behavior, just ask the AI using natural language, and it's going to give you these answers without writing any SQL at all.